The prosecution and defense have both rested their cases in the Lori Vallow Daybell murder trial. Vallow is the Eastern Idaho mom charged with murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and grand theft in the deaths of two of her own kids, JJ and Tylee, and her husband's late wife, Tammy Daybell. Today marked day 25 in the trial. My co-anchor here on the News at 4, Shira Matsuzawa, has been at the Ada County Courthouse since this trial started. And Shira, really big news coming out
Yeah,
today.
huge news. You know, it's been 6 weeks, Doug, and we've heard from 60 witnesses since then. And like most mornings at the courthouse, we caught up with JJ's grandpa, Larry Woodcock.
I think the prosecution has been meticulous. They have laid this out just like a page in a book from start to finish. The evidence is there. It's undeniable. I think Lori is indefendable. And you know, whatever the verdict is, that'll be what the verdict is. And it'll be 12 honest men and women on that court that has absolutely paid attention to everything and every word that has been said in there.
Earlier this morning, the prosecution called Nicole Heidemann back to the stand. She walked the court through the story of James and Elena, which witnesses say mirrors the reported actions of Lori Vallow and her fifth and current husband, Chad Daybell. She testified the story begins in October of 2018, the same time the couple met at a conference in Utah. In the story of James and Elena, they traveled to a conference in November in Arizona, and Elena asks friends as well as James to stay with her. In November of 2018, Chad and Lori also attended a conference, and Lori asked friends as well as Chad to stay with her. The jury also heard and saw more text messages between the couple in which they refer to themselves as James or Elena. Idaho Attorney General lead investigator Nicholas Edwards also testified between October 9th and 10th, there were 90 calls and text messages exchanged between Chad, Lori's brother, Alex Cox, and his wife of 2 weeks, Zulema. He said he noticed during this time frame, Alex and Chad were texting and calling each other significantly more. October 9th was the night someone attempted to shoot at Tammy Daybell. Tammy died 10 days later. Edwards also testified about being on Chad Daybell's property the day the kids' remains were found. JJ and Tylee disappeared in September of 2019. Investigators found their remains on Chad's property in June of 2020. Now, there was an interesting moment in court after the lunch break today. The state asked for part of the indictment to be amended, stating a clerical issue. Vallow's attorneys, Jim Archibald, responded that this was not a clerical error. He said the grand jury indicted Vallow on the wrong code sections, and they've been operating under that for 2 years. In the end, though, Judge Stephen Boyce ruled the court will permit the amendment, but said the timing is sort of, quote, unbelievable, and that it was disappointing that they now had to do it. After that happened, the defense then made a motion for acquittal. Judge Boyce said he will rule on it later. Now, closing arguments are scheduled for Thursday.
So then it's possible the jury could even start deliberating on Thursday.
Yeah, it's possible. It depends on how long those closing arguments go for.
And so what is tomorrow then in the court?
So tomorrow is just procedural. The judge said the jurors have the night off, or the day off rather, and then closing arguments will start Thursday morning.
They've been listening attentively, as Larry Woodcock said, in that for what, 6 weeks now?
Yeah.
And now the real work begins.
Here we go.
Shira, thank you so much. Also,